So, here we are, MUME Talk 6. Mike, you got an intro for us?
You're listening to MUME Talk.
There we go. We're starting off strong already. So before we get started, we'll go with a couple introductions here. So we'll start off with our guest. We got, all right, so we had this whole discussion right before we started the broadcast on how to pronounce your name. I'm sticking with Pilois, but it's not actually how it's pronounced. But anyway, Pilois, we go way back. Do you mind if I say some of the other characters?
Yeah, go for it.
Most notably, Plumley. How do you pronounce your the orc again?
Smacks.
Smack.
Or
No.
Zarazazal, the one.
The other one, though.
The Zarazazal.
Yes, Zarazazal.
Yeah.
I can't say that. I can say Smacks.
Yeah.
Smacks works.
I wanted as many Z's as possible.
Yeah. Actually, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, names that make it hard to type are brutal.
Yeah.
But we I think first met when we first started doing Balrog a long time ago, and you were one of the first zealots who were willing to follow us into like, hey, this is first time Balrog, you want to join? And you're like, yeah. And we're like, okay.
Yep.
So that was exciting. And then of course, obviously, you've recently been in charge of quite a few projects in MUME. You're a Maya Shaper, I believe that's the right.
Yes.
Maya, I think is how you say it. And you've been involved in a whole bunch of projects that we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself, go for it.
Yeah. That's me. I started MUME in 2000, I think, somewhere around then. Played for the next few years and then had years-long hiatuses between now and then. But been playing pretty consistently for the last 2 years or so. Not always mortal, but immortal or something.
Would you say you spend more time on Immortal or Mortal?
These days, probably more on Immortal, but it varies by week to week. I've been playing a bear a lot the last couple of weeks. But.
Awesome. All right, Dan, take it away.
Okay. Well, I'm Dent or Nick, and I what to say? I have been playing since probably 2002 and have had a lot of fun on the game. So, yeah, there you go.
Fair enough. We've introduced ourselves a bunch of times at this point.
Yeah. It's trying to think of something new to say and just drawing a blank, you know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mike.
Mike. That's it.
All right. Okay.
We're stalling on the intros, man.
There's like 12 mics on the game, dude.
Oh, that's right. Mike, I play Terran. I play a bunch of combos. I'm on the West Coast in the States, so I normally play pretty late hours, I think, for what a lot of people play.
Gotcha. All right, awesome. And then I'm Peter. I play Sleia and Durin and a couple other Queen of Blades, a couple other fun characters. With that, I guess we'll get into the podcast. So right off the bat, let's talk about game news. So we've had a whole bunch of newbies coming in recently. Shout out to Jahara for constantly constantly.
Yeah, Jahara's constantly tweaking out. He's a mess. He's a total train wreck. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to him for constantly tweaking the kind of the intro to the game, specifically in the Gandalf section. He keeps trying to refine that to make it easier for folks to kind of get their feet wet. So big shout out there. In terms of the war right now, I'm trying to pull it up. If you type MUME Warlords, it actually does not pop up immediately. MUME War. State of the War. Okay, so we got Spiffy as number 1. I'm definitely helped out with those war points for you. And Lone Wolf for number 1 with the evil forces. A black Numenorian. I like that. Spiffy, you're an elf. No one cares. Lone Wolf, good job. That's it's okay. We love you, Spiffy. Anyway,
I ran into Spiffy on my Zork just a couple days ago, and he had Sting and no tracks, and I was like, nope, I'm out. Good luck.
Yeah, that's a rough combination. Anyway, so another thing before we get started, actually, kind of a new thing I wanted to say was there's been a bunch of really great ideas on the idea board recently. I kind of wanted to give out a shout out to one, specifically Tug. So Tug spammed the shit out of the idea boards recently to the point that Rogan had to message him and be like, "Whoa, bro." There's so many ideas, but there were some really good ideas. So I wanted to give out kind of like a shout out to the best idea I saw all week, and that was specifically with regards to turning towers. You should get war points for turning towers, and you could incorporate some like actual tower defense into it. So you know how in Fornos you've got like the boiling oil that you can pour down the front of it. If you hold onto a tower or you convert a tower, if you got some war points for doing that and you were able to use the tower to your advantage, not just like, hey, there's some mobs in the tower, I think that would be a sick idea. Anyway, but yeah, that's our intro right now. I guess we'll get into the actual rest of the podcast here. So, yeah, Pilois, tell us a little bit about yourself. Why did you start playing the game?
A lot of my high school friends started playing. I was into Lord of the Rings at the time, and we all started playing together. Jahara was one of them, and his brother and stuff. So I enjoyed it, and I played pretty much exclusively until Classic Vanilla WoW came out, and then it took a hiatus. Then playing WoW with Nuzo, who I see in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what do you think? Like obviously, it's been a long time since you started. What like you keep coming back to it. What's like the number one draw for you that you just can't get in any other game?
There's a couple things. The adrenaline rush, like everyone says, is definitely huge. There's no game I've played where there's so much at stake every time you log on and play. And the other thing is the amount of variety you can do with characters. I know there's a few games, like I've heard Elden Ring. I haven't played it, but I've heard Elden Ring you can do quite a bit of variety with builds. But MUME's for me has always been something you could try to do whatever you want, and maybe it'll work and maybe it won't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
What was your first character? Like what did you learn on?
I think it was. I mean, I had a few that mob died and disappeared. I think it was a rogue, and rogue's kind of always been my favorite.
What was like the first kind of magic moment? The first like, oh shit, this is a good
Dying
game.
to a fireball from Stormblast.
That was it. You were like, this is good. I love it.
Yeah, it was like
it's a warm up.
I hadn't been involved in the war, and suddenly this guy comes up to me and I really have no idea what it is, and then one shot fireball, and it's like, wow.
Was he shrouded too?
What?
Was he shrouded too?
It was probably invisibility actually.
No.
See him at all without detecting this before the shroud change.
Oh man, do you guys remember like getting nuked by people you can't see, and you're just like, what is happening?
Yeah, yeah. But man, Stormblast, I've not heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, he was the Scourge of Fornost when I was a newbie.
Right. Yeah, he was an animal back in the day. I wonder if he's still around. Yeah.
Yeah. And then recently you've been godding it up a lot. And
yeah.
How has that experience been for you?
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Rohan was working on the Dol Guldur project, which was something that had been started, I don't know when, 2010 or something, and by someone else. And then he had kind of taken up what was left, and I ended up taking responsibility for the 2 above ground zones in Dol Guldur, which already had a ton of work done. So desks were written and stuff, but it was...
Which specific zones?
So the 2 above ground. So the one where the camp is, and then the one right east of that.
The crazy troll forest.
Yes, the Crazy
Yeah.
Troll Forest, and then like
The XP
well,
Orgy
there's-
Forest.
Yes.
Who did? I mean, I guess I probably shouldn't give out names or anything, but
I don't know. I'll tell you what.
whoever did the gray, what is it? Is it Gray Vines, right? The snaring traveling mob.
Yes,
Shout
I
out.
think that was me and Rogan came up with
Good.
that.
You guys are fucking
Good.
up.
That was evil.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mobbed my scout when I was
You're
exploring.
off the almost mob. I have at least like 2 or 3 mobs to that. When you map, because I map everything myself. When you map, you just have to accept mob rips going in. But yeah, I've got a couple of mobs to those guys. But
The
well done.
gnarly.
We didn't make it impossible. We didn't make it like the normal routes where it's just you can't get out. Period.
yeah, I feel like if there's one that changed, whatever I don't know if you can call it a fix, but whatever the change they did to normal routes recently, which took away the slight window of getting away and made it basically impossible to get away. Like I don't understand how that was a game forward, like a forward looking type change. But whatever.
No
but
forgiveness.
Whatever. Yeah, it's like, okay, this is the most important thing we can do for the future of music.
Do not enter a room.
But DG is a masterpiece, man. So how I don't know much about the whole build scene, sadly, but I know that like these things take forever, they take months, they take years, and there's zones that's been kind of I know there's like zones that have been languishing for years and decades even. So how I'd be curious in your kind of building career, like have you been active in building for years? Has it been a shorter time?
Did a little bit in Fangorn a long time ago.
Okay.
I didn't finish it through to the end, but I like a couple things were the Stout Oaken Stick was my item.
Nice.
Which reduces move cost if you're holding it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I after that, so I wasn't involved in the finishing of Fangorn, but then I didn't do anything until the Dulguldur project, basically.
Wow. And do you in Shaper, where is MS, right? Where is MS relative to it's like M is
That's
MB
the highest.
Oh, okay. Okay,
right
so it's
below
M.
these.
Okay, there's right. It's MW is the first.
Yeah,
one?
well, I can just tell you what they are.
Yeah, yeah.
Cartographer is people that have gone from M to I'm going to work on something, whether it's going to be just proofing a zone or helping out with a project or something. In some cases, they've done a test zone, designed one, and that's been approved. Builder is when you get into more of the commands for the zone, like how to load mobs, how to load items, the different like the slopes when you leave a room and there's a message that tells you or sucks some moves or something. And then the right are people that have actually finished a zone. They've taken a zone from
Got it.
not there to finish.
Mm-hmm. So MS
Does finish mean in the game or just like complete?
Complete and ready to be in the game pending other stuff.
Okay.
MS is like kind of at the level where you start supervising a bit, right?
Yeah, so I'm the Legend Home supervisor.
So you're the problem. Okay, I see how it is.
I took that over from Elmari when she retired from that.
Dude, bring back Orc Legend Homes.
Yeah. The problem with, well, I don't know if that'll happen or not. That's probably above my pay grade. I know that there's a lot of, no one wants Nock to look like the mess that Rivendell or Bree look like right now. So.
Okay, that's fair. I didn't think about that. That's fair.
Yeah, Bree in particular is a total heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Dude,
you get lost. Like if you're invading or raiding and you get lost somewhere in those back alleys, like Mapper stops working and you're just fucked.
Yeah.
That would be funny if in the Fellowship it's like the Nazgul get lost in amongst the labyrinth.
I miss the Legend Home that used to be just north of inside the West Gate of Bree, and I was actually on during the raid way many years back when it was removed following that raid. I guess it was deemed to be too convenient.
Yeah, for trolls to hide in or something, or
yeah, because I remember there was a huge group in there, and then like the very next day, there's a message on there. Its door was blocked. It says Dane was here. or dine, or however you want to say that.
That's funny.
Economancy says, good thing there's no canonical example like Bilbo getting lost in Nock to justify it. That's a great point. So obviously Nock doesn't exist in the books, but orc caves are supposed to be kind of labyrinths, right?
That's a good point.
You know, like getting out of the Misty Mountains was like Bilbo couldn't get out of them, right? So wait a minute, what am I talking about? That is what New Orc Caves is, right? That's where Bilbo crossed.
Yes, it is where Bilbo crossed.
So
in fact, Crack is where the company rests.
That just flew over my head. I'm an idiot. That wasn't sarcasm. Like that, or that was sarcasm. Basically, yeah, it 100% should be as labyrinthy as possible, you know. And whereas Bree,
I actually think Nock doesn't go down far enough. It's relatively flat from the description of the books. It actually should go down and up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if there was ever talk of like putting Gollum in Nock somewhere. Probably not. Anyway,
there's that crooked long-armed creature.
Yeah, down in Lorien.
Down in Lorien, they could transplant it.
Anyway, so Pilois, you also had a big hand in his cave is there? Kilter's saying that Gollum's cave is in Nock? I did not know that.
I don't know, maybe.
I didn't know that. Open wire. The solution is to make a housing area for orcs away from Nock then. Where would you put them? Northeast corner. That's where the Golem's room is? Oh, I think I know it. Yeah, I think, like back where those trolls and the water serpent is, maybe that's where, or not the water serpent, there's like some snakes in the water or something in the northeast corner. I think that's where he talked about for
I think there's like a little island there, if I remember right. I'm not sure.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that seems way too high. Like you would think it'd be way deeper, like over in West Nock or something.
So I had to ask, were you the one that designed the Magus or
Yes.
Oh my god, I loved that. That is such a cool super mob. Like I love that thing.
Thank
Such
you.
A cool design.
I think there was something from some previous builder, just the idea of a Black Numenorean sorcerer in there, but the fight and the mechanics and everything were
the clones.
It was me and
Rohan
Rohan and Jahara. Yeah, I liked the you're not sure which one you need to attack and giving you clues to figure out which one. And so I'm glad people liked it.
I loved that thing. That was my favorite estimate of that.
I was snooping Reich's group when they first discovered it, and I think one of those the groupies just walked through it, and then they'd been trying to figure it out for days, I think, at that point.
Dude, it must feel so great. Oh, go ahead.
No, I definitely stared at that wall and examined that wall quite a few times. Definitely that was a long process.
The only other place that's like that has a false wall apart from that one room inside Lorien.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any others, but that was really cool, yeah.
It's so weird that the room in Lorien 2 has like nothing behind it. It's just there,
I feel that way. I don't know. I was curious. Maybe our guest. When I look at Fangorn and when I look at Lorien 2, it's clear that like a bunch of hard work went into them and they made a bunch of mechanics. But then like I feel like they didn't really like they built a bunch of stuff, but it didn't quite all come together. Like that like in Fangorn there's a lot of like random hidden exits that don't go anywhere. Like there's like a random wall in the forest and you can open the exit, but like there's not a room behind it or anything. It's just like an arbitrary wall kind of. And to me it's like people had a bunch of ideas and did a bunch, but like it didn't quite come together. Whereas something like DG, like it all fits together perfectly.
Yeah, that is going to depend largely on the supervisor. So some supervisors will there'll be a map or something that the builders have to follow, but they'll pretty much let them do what they want, and so you get zones that are very reflective of whoever was the actual builder.
Got it.
Whereas in DG, Rohan had a pretty clear vision of what he wanted. So,
Got it.
I mean, there was certainly room for us to come up with stuff, but if it didn't fit his vision, then it wasn't going to go through release.
Yeah, just as from like, working and wasting my entire life working on software all day in my non-Middle Earth career, you like when you have like kind of a trained software eye, you can kind of see you're like, there were really smart people working on this, but it didn't quite all come together. Whereas DG, like you feel like that clarity of purpose, that focus, that like end result. It all fits very well. Like there's not a wasted room in all of DG. I don't feel that there's not a single like the density of just of shit to do, of creativity, of the art of the game. It's super, super dense. Whereas so many in zones 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, there's just huge open expanses, like a big corner, which will be like 100 rooms, but there's nothing there kind of thing.
You will never see another zone like that as long as Rohan is running building. He hates the zones.
Yeah.
So
did you...
It's
go
another...
ahead.
I was just going to say, it's another huge... man, I'm totally blanking on the word, but the achievement, there we go. The fact that DG is so out of the way, and they've got, so the gods have access to these like frequentation plots essentially, and they can see how often the zone is visited. And DG is like one of the hot spots of the game. Everyone goes there, even though, I mean, I guess there's a camp for darkies there, so they'll go there a little bit. But for pukes, like that is super out of the way. So the fact that they were able to pull that off just speaks to how awesome that zone is.
Yeah, we tried really hard to kind of balance the good stuff to do, making it exciting, but I think a lot of lessons were learned from Emin that Emin was too scary for a lot of players, and so they just didn't want to go there, or the loot was not worth the risk for a lot of Emin.
Right. Do you guys play test it yourself, or is there like other people kind of attached to the project to play test it, or how does that work?
Yeah, usually anyone who is a builder or maybe a proofreader or someone who'd already been involved in some point will have nights where we all log on different characters. Like we did it all with trolls at some point. We did it with dwarves and with Sank and without Sank and all different kinds of things.
Fun. That's super fun. You guys crushed it, man. I mean, I like no notes. I can't think of a single thing to really say about
I appreciate
DG.
it. Thank you.
Actually, I will say one
Awesome.
thing. I will say one thing. Okay, Magus, super cool in almost every aspect, but you guys need to cut it out with all these sanked super mobs, okay? Stop it.
Yeah. I understand. As a guy who plays a lot of thieves, I understand that.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Were you snooping the group when they did when they were exploring and doing the Drake, and they were going in there to get the bone, and they touched it and disintegrated, and they freaked the hell out because it looks like it's a death trap, and they're like, "Let's run to the door! Run to the door!"
That was amazing, and I really wanted to say, "No, don't leave."
Yeah, I was involved in mapping Emin a lot, and apparently, like, I didn't know about the snooping thing, but people were snooping me a lot, and it's funny because you get sort of like exploration, kind of, there's like this anxiety, you're like, or this self-conscious, like, are people watching me right now? And I, like, apparently one of my characters was the first to open the Fell Beast lair, but I didn't notice that, and they were like giving me shit and teasing me. I just I just left the zone. I didn't realize I had found the smob, but it's just like funny stuff like that. But
I'll go ahead. Sorry, I'm dealing with some streamer stuff right now. For some reason, the CPU is...
Yeah, as it came, I got kind of dropped at one point. Are you guys okay from a stream standpoint? Connection standpoint?
Yeah. I saw you drop off, but it
didn't affect you guys? Good. Okay. Okay. Right on. What is
Go ahead.
But I was gonna say, what, like, okay, I mean, DG was a masterpiece. What is something big you want to do next? Like, what is like when you're like, you got the creative juices flowing, you're like, okay, where do I go next? What want to do? Like, is it like part of the map, like from like a RP story world standpoint? Is it a mechanic? Like, what really kind of like gets excited, or where is like a lot of your kind of just like creative focus these days?
I like I would hope that we could do more with skills and revamping old skills. I mean, it's hard. It's always hard to get consensus on that kind of thing since they can be so hugely game changing. But hopefully we'll get more of that, and there will be more to the inside of DG at some point. It's a long ways off, but
right on. And were you involved in Dark Oath? I think Peter told me that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's great, dude. I have a little bit of the stats. I scratched my head a little bit, but the overall design I think is just fantastic.
Yeah, that came about. We were talking about what's the most underpowered class race combo in the game, and Thieves came to the top.
Yeah,
and then
and then there was 10 blank spots, and then there was the next thing. Yeah,
and then I was talking with Almarian, who told me. Going back, I had never played a BN until a few years ago. Like in my first group of years of MUME playing, I was always like, their guildmasters move. Like I can't just go to it when I need to level. So I never played one for that reason. And then she told me that BN Thieves at Legend have like 25 pracs that they can't use, which just astonished me. So I leveled one, and then I maxed Bandage, and I maxed Awareness, and I maxed everything else, and I still had 25 pracs at Legend, which I thought was just ridiculous. So then it became, what do we want to do? We want to give another skill to BNs to use pracs, and we want to buff them. And then it was also what were the pain points of BN, which for me was you spend so much time just sitting regenning.
Yeah, totally.
So
yeah, no, you get a critical wound at BN, you might as well just like abandon the session. Yeah.
So we wanted to build on that, but without doing like, oh, we're going to give BNs just flat health regen or something like that.
Right.
So something new and exciting. And then the Shroud's always been one of my favorite spells. I also did the Shroud gem for DG, that lets you shroud your group. So I wanted to build that in somehow, and I think it turned out pretty fun.
That was very useful when we were doing Darky Balrogs because, one person in the group has a Shroud staff, and like all of a sudden we don't have to deal with every 2 rooms a warg hits us or something,
Right.
Yeah, I actually feel the stuff that I kind of enjoy, I think kind of like the player base enjoys the most, are like those little things which are like are a little bit RP and a little bit like quality of life, like with that, like someone's got the Shroud gem. Okay, cool. Oh, someone's got the Blessed gem. Oh, okay, that helps our group. Oh, someone's in charge of this. Like little things like that don't like kind of challenge the sacred taboo, PK player balance type stuff, but just the little stuff that's like, this is fun and I enjoy it, and it helps my group mates, and that's it. Like I really like that little stuff. Seems like so safe and so much kind of just ROI, so much benefit for the game. I feel, I don't know.
Yeah, and especially if it's something that does not require a lot of coding, because that's always a hold up on development.
Right. Do you do a lot of the
Jahara, or other people don't do a ton, but there's only so many of them.
Yeah, it's a very precious resource. Do you do much coding yourself? Or?
No, I mean I have a very basic background, but I don't do any on MUME or anything.
Got it. And so Dark Oath, did you like because the Shroud, I love the Shroud thing. I love the move regen. I'm just curious, like how does that like you have the idea and you write a proposal and you show it to Rohan or something? Like what's sort of like the creative process behind how does that go from like the first kind of that spark to like the finished thing kind of?
Yeah, I'd say the number one thing is it helps if there's a V+ that trusts you. Somebody doing DG helped with that, and obviously Jahara already, but then you like, we're gonna have a conversation and they assume I'm not an idiot when we're starting the conversation about the
which is a very common assumption otherwise in the MUME community.
So I mean that there was a group of people that were doing the BN discussion. It was Jahara, it was Rohan, it was Orlanth, Elamir. I'm sure I'm missing someone.
Sure.
And kind of spitballing different ideas. I think the actual heal mechanic came because Jahara put it in the battle coach.
Got it.
And I was like, we need to use that somewhere else.
Yeah.
Uh,
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm still working on some stream stuff right now, trying to bring everything down a little bit. But
I think it'd be nice to see at some point. I know they are expanding Mirkwood, and eventually they're going to obviously connect Emmen and Mirkwood. But I would really love it to see at some point Helm's Deep completed, especially if we could get that done before 2024 when War of the Rohirrim comes out, because I think that would be really cool to tie in with the with that feature film when it comes out.
well, we always need more builders, so if you want to get involved,
got to run through those test zones.
yeah, I don't know that I don't know that it's a high priority compared to others, because I don't know how much I want to go into the unreleased stuff, but Rohan is not enthusiastic about Rohan right now, and he's the one that drives most of the building.
That project's been languishing quite a long time, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been hearing about that for years, decades.
Yeah, it hasn't been in active development for I don't know how long.
Right.
I think
whatever the supervisor was dropped off.
I think the big holdup there is that with regards to Rohan, it's like a huge plane essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's tricky with our current tools to find a way of making that an interesting experience, as opposed to like, yeah, here's 7,000 rooms of grass.
Yeah. And it also becomes a white side headquarters or stronghold or something, which changes the dynamics of the game greatly if you have a safe spot, a perfect safe spot that far south.
Got it.
I do love the commitment though to not building new zones that are nothing but plains and fields, and because I spent some time kind of going through there and actually reading the descriptions for Dol Guldur, I'm saying and I love the time that was put into that, and each room is truly unique.
Yeah, there's a lot of I mean, I certainly did the final proof or whatever edit on all of the desks, and I wrote a lot of them, but a lot of that was done by other builders who had been on the project over the years. And the specifically the zone, just the second zone from the east, so the one with the troll forest and stuff. I don't remember who it was. It's kind of hard to tell because there'd been 5 builders, but whoever wrote those desks spent so much time on him, getting all these details about how the oozing stuff from the vines looks like blood and all these other things.
Oh, and those bats. That was so evil. I just remembered
Yes.
those things come out of nowhere, and
yes,
this is the first time that as a player I've been worried for my safety because of bats.
Yeah, well, I mean, whose idea was it? Who designed the malformed orcs?
that was me.
Dude, those guys are animals, dude.
Yeah.
You were like, let's just make the pound for pound hardest hitting mob in the game.
Yeah, that was the goal.
Well, I congratulate you on success, sir.
The first experience I ever had with those was actually with Mike. Mike was showing me DG a little bit, and he's like, "Yeah, these guys hit really hard." I'm like, "All right, whatever." And I go in there and I immediately mobbed.
We both mobbed.
Wow.
We were just fucking around on it.
Yeah.
We play a pretty stupid style, as you can tell from
They don't
our
track
videos and stuff. Yeah, but those guys are animals. Yeah. So what do you? I mean, do you play much? You play much Mortal yourself these days? Like, what do you play? What are you enjoying? What are you enjoying playing?
I enjoy Scout a lot. I have a BN Scout I play and a Zog Scout I play. Right now, I'm leveling a Bear, which is interesting. Leveling as Bear, lots of regen involved.
Yeah. Bear is kind of heartbreaking because I think the kind of RP experience of Vale and Ingrove and having Nox, so having the PK activity so close. It's a great environment. It's just the bear. It's like you level your bear and you're like, okay, there's just nothing for me to do now.
Yeah,
Like,
I hope we can do something with bear. I don't know
Yeah.
that it will get priority for coding time and everything anytime soon, but I hope we can do it.
Right. I think like 80 or 85 dB or whatever. I think that was a lot back in the day. Like 15 years ago, I think 85 dB was a lot, but now post level changes and everything, you just get chewed up. Like you just cannot. You just get amped up. Yeah.
So you're gonna fix bears now, right?
Maybe someday.
I wonder if they should get subrace changes too.
They got some. They got wilderness and
They did, dude.
forage.
Yeah.
They were the first ones.
Oh right, yeah. For some reason, I was thinking just Bjorn. He's got that, not the actual bears. But
Speaking of,
yeah,
go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the Ariadorian ones, awesome. Like those are 5 practices. Is first of all just not an insignificant amount, especially at Legend. Like that's the equivalent of what 7 levels basically.
Yes.
Which is huge. And I mean the Tarbad thing is interesting. I've never gotten Citizen Tarbad, but it's still
I said Tharbad. I always said Tharbad.
Oh, is it Tharbad?
I say
I don't know.
I say Tharbad as well.
Oh. Yeah. Was there another change? I was trying to think. I think there was a third.
Yeah. It's 5 pracs. It's cheaper rent, and it's easier Tharbad sit.
Cheap rent.
Yeah.
I think, right? But the bummer, and I'm hoping, I don't know where the Dunedain class is, but I'm hoping Dunedain gets an insane leadership buff. Because isn't Aragorn's a Dunedain, right? Is that accurate?
He is, yeah.
So I'm hoping that Dunedain is like 50% leadership right off the bat. Just inherent leaders is my hope.
I'll leave
I
that
know.
one alone for now. But
Okay, I know. Yeah, I know you can't. Yeah, we're not trying to. But I think that would be something like it would be very RP, right? It'd be very in the fitting of the world. I think. I don't know. But dude, the Rohirrim class is actually really well done. I made a little Rohir guy, and it feels like it instead of man race being just like a kind of blank, nondescript template or whatever. Like you play Rohir, you have insane ride skill. You have the nice, up to 5 OB with spears, which by the way also applies with the burnished hewing spear.
I was wondering about that.
It does, yeah. So that is basically a 25 OB smiting weapon now, if you're riding. So quite nice. So it feels like it makes it's just enough to where Rohirrim feels like kind of a class of its own, like a concept, a definition of its own. I thought it was really well done. Yeah.
that's our goal with the whole subrace thing, to make each subrace feel different. And hopefully opens up some new builds and stuff.
Yeah. The heartbreaking thing, though, is I think the fact that the Iriadorian one means cheap rent means that there probably won't be any big rent changes coming soon, right? But you don't have to comment. You don't have to comment. We're not putting you.
I won't say you're correct.
Is one mind saying like what exactly is the rent? I mean, I see it's cheaper rent to friendly inns, but what constitutes a friendly inn? Is that just Spree and Fornost and
it's the racial bonus. So if you were an elf in Rivendell, you get elf rent, but now Iriadorians do too.
Right, but I'm saying the inns, does that include, say, like elf towns, or is that just like Bree and Fornost and some of the little surrounding inns? Like I was trying to figure that out.
I am not positive, but I'm pretty sure it includes anywhere you can rent. But that had a racial component to the rent before.
I was gonna say, because it would be nice to rent for cheap in Rohan.
I doubt it applies there, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There's Rohans get cheaper rent there, don't they?
No, they don't. They do not. Yeah, which is
don't.
Yeah,
it probably doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
it probably does.
Yeah, as far as I know, the only character that can even get citizenship there is Istari. So
I did not know that.
How do Astaris get sit there? What is that? What?
They automatically get sit in every town. I mean, and don't quote me on this because I haven't done Astari in years, but I believe that they get Rohan. If they do, they're the only. They're the only. type that can.
that comes as a surprise to me, but okay. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, I was going to say something about spears. Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for spears, so that's why we did that. I remember back whenever playing I have a Rohirrim that it was a spear way back when, and I found out if I just sit and let this troll hit me, I can beat him, even though he's a lot higher level than me, until he starts bashing, and then you hit him and flee. So I've always wanted to do something with spears, and so we did the all pike out of DG, and then the Rohirrim spear bonus.
Yeah.
It's very nice. What about charge, man? I'm sure you guys get that question a lot.
Rogan hates any ideas with charge. Or he has yet to hear an idea he likes.
See, to me, it's just so simple. I just think charge should be a delayed command that knocks a mounted rider off. That's it. Nothing, right? So I know there's a lot of a lot coming. What is a big thing on the horizon for you? Like at the 5 or 10 year scale, where do you hope MUME is going? Like where do you hope is in MUME 10 years from now?
I would love for there to be a smog fight. If you look at the map, like we're only halfway there to the Lonely Mountain, so I don't know how we get there without some sort of like, oh, you're going to take a boat down the river and this will transport you 10 zones.
I think you could do that. I think. Yeah. I mean, that's how Bilbo and them get there, right? Yeah. I think you can maybe do that. Yeah.
But I would love for there to be a smog fight in MUME. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun.
You could have a ferry or a boat. Yeah, I mean that, and then just build between there over time. But
actually, that is something I don't really. That I always was kind of a bummer about Emin to me, which is that at the you go all the way, you go all east and all south. That little corner down there, there's like a down exit that's like I think there's a few orcs hiding in a hole and there's something like there, but it's just dead in there. And I don't understand why not put like a Dolian style, like maybe you could have Lakemen or something who are traveling in the mountains, or lumberjacks from Lake Town coming to get wood, or just some sort of like meaningful destination, like some sort of like, okay, you did it, you crossed the mountains or something.
I don't know how close it is to where the Wood Elves would have been.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think there would be much there.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, okay, yeah. A few Sylvans hiding in a hole or something. Just fun.
Yeah.
Just fun stuff from an RP standpoint. But,
I think the stream's working now. All the way an hour into it, so yeah. So obviously you had a big hand in Dark Oath. Are there any? Obviously, you can't talk about what you're actually doing here, but what was like your impetus behind wanting to build Dark Oath? Like, why were you like, let's do this?
Well, I mean, like I said before, it was the BN Thieves specifically being the most underpowered class, and we wanted to find something new, and I was really excited that we made a passive that changed your playstyle.
Yeah, totally, massively. Yeah.
Without a new skill, not a new command you send other than like praying and getting the buff up, but that would change how you played the game, and that was really exciting to me.
Fair enough. Are there any plans, or would you not? Are there any plans in an ideal world?
What date can you commit to? What is the?
Is there any interest in expanding upon that, and not just creating items and new zones or whatever, but like changing the play style of other classes and races?
Yes, there is interest.
Okay.
Getting there, I don't know when or how for everything, but I mean, I would say Rogan's goal is that every character class combination feels different than every other one. That if you're playing an orc, it feels different than playing a troll. If you're playing an elf warrior, it feels different than playing a man warrior.
What I really liked about Dark Oath in that regard is it is it's an intent, like if you prac it and you use it, it's an intentional choice to go in one direction from a skill set, as opposed to just augmenting you. Like there's trade-offs. I'm saying, like you say, okay, I'm not going to use mana, right? It kills my mana regen, so therefore I have to go in this direction. So it's actually it's a reward for not just being like a maximalist combo. It's like, okay, this is for pure thieves. Like this is you're going in the thief direction, right? So
I did not want to see what would happen if you had Dark Oath and Stored Quakes.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That would have been crazy overpowered. So we tried to avoid that. Without,
I thought, and it was great. I
it.
think that could be a way to. I think Warrior. I think you could go down that direction with Warrior, where it's like, okay, if you're, here's some cool Warrior stuff, like area of effect type, all the stuff. Everybody always has a million ideas for how to make Warriors cool, but I think it could be a similar trade-off. It could be a similar trade-off like Dark Oath, where it's like you need to do X in order to get these abilities or to make these abilities functional or adequately powered or something, but doing so you trade away something else. You lose. It's not a combo thing, etc. And I think that could be a great way for maybe to bring in a lot of like enhanced capabilities to the game without it just being like everybody just has a level 70 half elf bashing combo, like like the game kind of has happened.
Yep, I would like to see different warriors. Right now we have Death Warrior and Offense Warrior, and that's about it.
Right, right.
Not, obviously you can't reveal anything, but what do you think the possibility might be at some point of seeing a warrior guild for Black Numenorean?
Next, very low.
Very low.
Yeah.
That's Rohan said as much on Elven Runes.
It's a no idea. It's on no idea as well. Yeah. So it's
the thinking is that we don't want to take an underpowered Black Numenorean and make them like a white side. We want to buff them if they're underpowered in other ways to make them unique and play differently. So things that are currently unique, like not having a warrior guild, are probably going to stay that way.
That makes sense.
It would be cool to get like 2 pracs in rescue or something. Just like stuff like that. That's not so much, like just raw combat power, but just like overall kind of
it's a skill thing,
group playing. But yeah.
No.
Like 1 prac in rescue would completely change your play style, and it wouldn't make you overpowered or anything. It would just mean that you have options to be good.
Yeah, but
I don't know if we do that. What we could do that would be different would be, let's make a spell that does something like rescue and give it to bees.
Yeah, or a thief skill or something. Yeah. Just distract, something like that.
Or you can make a spell that makes everyone hit you. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Magic Blast.
Name it after the Slayer spell. Name it after Slayer. But something I think, I don't know. I'd be curious for your thoughts on this, Pilois. So what I've noticed is people love having something to do, even like when my friends are like, oh, we're gonna go do Oakscar, we're gonna go get the gnarled touch or whatever. It's like, oh, it's a project and we all have to join in and go help this guy do it. So I feel it's, oh, we're gonna go accomplish this. So and so died, and now we have to re-equip one, which is a common thing. So the like character developing or character advancing type projects is a good way to motivate, to incentivize grouping, to get people to play together. And so I'm always one idea that I've thought a lot about is I feel like puke side pracking I think is kind of ridiculous because all the pracs are just right there. It's trivial. Mm-hmm. Like you go to Lorien, you go to Rivendell, you get everything you need basically.
Right.
So I've always wondered, like, I feel like that could be like maybe like you can in Sanctuary you can get 18 pracs by default, but to get all the way up to 25, you have to do some cool quest or earn some favor or something somehow, right? I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that is an interesting idea, and that's what we did with Dark Oath. You have to go to do the Adragor quest. I don't think we will take things away that are currently here because people get really mad when I've been able to do it this way for years and I can't now. Yeah. So what we would do, if anything, is we're going to add a new skill or a new spell or something and gate it behind a quest or some sort of requirement. something like that.
'Cause I think it's in addition to just the raw power, I think it's a fun thing. Like everybody's like, oh, dude, I gotta log on to help my friend go do XYZ or something. Like it fosters that sort of like purpose, that shared purpose.
Yes, I would like there to be something in the game besides XP and war points that you can log on and not necessarily grind in a bad sense, but you can move towards that goal.
Yeah, have some achievement.
Leveling character.
Have some sense of purpose,
Totally
some sense of achievement.
that.
Yeah,
Totally behind
I totally agree. Yeah.
A lot of MUDs have quest points, which at higher levels you have to. I mean, as you're leveling, you accumulate quest points, and in a lot of MUDs, quest points are also a component to leveling in addition to XP. So you could have something like that as well that encourages people to do a lot of the quests.
Yeah, it would certainly be interesting to add to the leveling experience beyond just killing mobs.
I wish there was more quick stuff to do as well. Like, so I was talking to a couple friends, and they were like, "Yeah, I'd love to play. I just don't have 2 hours, to do stuff in."
Yeah.
Like if there was a way that you could be effective in 15 minutes, like I think that would be a huge bonus in just getting people to be like, yeah, I'll log on for 15 minutes. But right now, if you log on for 15 minutes, like, what did you do?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few, like, you can log on a bear for 15 minutes and go see if they knock. You can log on a BN unless you die, and then you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I agree. There's a big impediment to just most characters logging on and doing a short session. And I think Jara has thought a lot about that, but I don't know that anyone's come up with the perfect solution yet.
The way rent is, you log on and you have to spend 15 minutes getting your rent back.
We are well aware that that's an issue.
Yeah. Has anybody given you guys feedback on rent? Yeah. We would like to take this opportunity to notify you about rent.
Yeah.
But so one thing we haven't talked about much is PK. Like, what do you PK much? Do you enjoy it? Do you think
I would rate myself slightly above Bree Legend. I do enjoy it. I'm not particularly good at it. I think I've warlorded my BN once, one of my probably Plumley once or something. But I enjoy it, but yeah, not as good as you or Slayer or some of the other great PKers or even close.
what do you feel about it from like a game design standpoint? Do you think it's, like good shape? Do you think it's like things to improve, like ideas for it? Like, what are your thoughts?
It's pretty good. Charm is obviously very,
OP.
very strong. And I think everyone wants to do something about Charm. There's just not consensus on what to do. But other than that, I mean, I think it's fun. There's a lot of different play styles. There's a lot of dynamics that go into it. And we certainly, whenever we're designing new items or whatever zones, whatever, trying to think of the PK implications. Mm-hmm. I was very happy with Dark Oath to see those crazy logs with getting heals off awful and.
Oh yeah, that's the Mike who's very good at PK, not me. The PK Mike, Dane. He's I love that log. It's a Spirit Knight log, I think, where it's like him and Glazier versus 3, and he just keeps going awful to wounded off Dark Oath.
Yeah,
it kills. I love that log. Mega classic. But that log makes you think, oh, if I just get Dark Oath, I'll be good at PK. Yes. Which maybe that's how the game works. Maybe that's the main purpose of logs, is to like saying, oh, if I just learn Store and Quake, I'll start killing people. Okay. And then of course it never works.
It never works. But one thing I want to point out, by the way, is we kind of keep coming back to this every time we have a stream, which is, we talk about PK and we talk about super mobs and we talk about, like these are, I'm going to beat the newbie drum here again. One second. These are our favorite parts of the game. Everybody loves them so much, but I don't think that we realize as a player base what that actually means for new players, because our favorite parts of the game, we've got stories and stories and stories, logs upon logs and logs of this player killing action. We've got, we got our videos that we have enjoyed making of, doing super mobs and everything. those are not accessible to a newbie until he's 25 or 21, really, but really 25. And let's say you're a god level newbie. Let's say you can make it to 25 in 30 hours, which, by the way, I did not make my first newbie to 21 in 30 hours. Like that, that's
took me 10 years real life to get to
ambitious. Yeah. So what we're really saying, let's say that we've got a god status newbie right now, and he can make it to legend in 30 hours. We're asking newbies to put 30 hours into the game before they can enjoy the stuff that we enjoy about it. There's a lot of AAA games.
I don't know, man. I think that's a little bit of a contrived type perspective, right? Because, dude, back in the 90s, especially before Mapper, like when you were like not even a breed legend, when you were a Harland legend like me, like in 1997 or something, like, dude, like going to do Fernie or going to do Kraken was like a crazy epic adventure. And I think there's a lot of fun stuff to do. I like my idea wouldn't be, oh, this content is inaccessible to new players. I think there is a lot of great content accessible to new players, but they need grouping. I think it's grouping. Like I think rather than try to make different stuff available to new players, I think it's dramatically incentivize grouping so that people get taken along on big quests. I don't know.
That might be the case. All I'm saying is that all of what we seem to always talk about is something that a newbie will never experience until they hit a certain level. And that level is, like, again, if you think about it in terms of hours, is let's say it's 30 hours. We have to supply 30 hours worth of content to them. And right now it's killing brown bears,
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my newbie experience 20 years ago, you did experience it because there was trolls raiding Bree fairly often. There was BNs coming around, and I knew I wasn't able to kill them, but I was involved, and we have lost that with the player base going down.
Maybe we just.
I remember when they'd have Bree raids practically every other day. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I would always go as level 12. I'd get my axe and I'd follow Barlaman or something or Harry.
See, there you go. Yeah, I agree. Man, back in the day, I mean, we didn't have Mapper, so I think, like, to me, like, anytime you left the city, you're like, okay, well, there's a good chance I'm just gonna get lost and die to wolves and never come back. But I don't know. I felt there was more of a, like, yeah, you're right. I mean, Peter, you're right. The brown bear spirit killing chasm, like that desert that where you get to level 10 or 11 and then you just got to kill the same mobs mindlessly over and over again to 14 or 15. That's definitely a bummer, but I feel like back in the day when there's 80 people on and people are constantly narrating to, like, oh, we need one more for our group, we need one more for our group, and then you have your dwarf and he's level 19, but there's some value there. You're like, I can join, I can hit, I can bash, and people say, yeah, come on, Debris, we'll pick you up. And then they take you on some crazy adventure and you have no idea where you are, and you're like typing M to see the map to, like, try to figure out where in Arda you are, and you're like seeing all these new mobs. Like, to me, I think that's really what got me hooked, was feeling that if I put in effort and develop my character, I could get pulled up into these big, crazy, overwhelming adventures. I don't know. To me, that's the magic that I would love to kind of contribute to try to getting back. I feel. I don't know.
So we just need better ways for the community to connect and more incentives to do so. Is what you're saying?
That is certainly my feeling, but I don't know how you guys feel.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I just think that a lot of times when when I first logged in, I was a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but the main reason I kept playing MUME was A, I had friends that were playing it, and B, so the only other real Lord of the Rings game I could play at the time was Battle for Middle-earth 2. I don't know if you guys ever played that. Super fun game. But like there was not a lot of Lord of the Rings game out there. There was like The Adventures of Aragorn or something. I forget what it was, but it was like a single player game that was kind of cool. But if you want to play a multiplayer game, like, MUME was actually kind of a top option, and I don't think that and when I logged in, I was like, let's kill some orcs, I'm going to go fuck up some more. And right now, you log in and, if you're fighting a wolf, you're going to get your ass handed to you, let alone an orc. Anyway, it's just like, maybe there's a way that we can make things more Lord of the Ringsy and more fun earlier on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Anyway, newbie rant off for the day. That's all we're talking about newbies for today.
What do you, Pilois, what do you think is? I mean, I know you're limited in what you can say, of course, but what do you think is the best thing that we could do for the player base and for growth of the game? Like, what do you think should happen?
Is huge, I think.
Does it rhyme with end?
Yeah. Getting people more involved. I mean, I think people have come back playing that just from hearing the podcast, getting interested. The issue I think a lot happens is, like you guys were talking about last week, you look for guides and they're 20 years old, and that tells you this is a dead game or something.
Right.
So the more
that's interesting.
And people search it and say, "Oh, this is from 2022."
So
that's an interesting nuance. That just the age of the guide itself is like a kind of alters your perception of the game.
Whether it's right or not. If it says it's 2010, it's
that's good.
So it's
we're trying to do that with the videos a little bit. Go ahead.
Absolutely, no, we're trying to do that with videos, but also funny you should mention that. So Shocker has actually been working on a shaman guide, because there's no shaman guides out there at all. Basically, like there's like a couple like things in the depths of comments in Elven Runes, pretty much.
Right.
But there are no shaman guides out there. Anyway, Shocker has put together this phenomenal in-depth guide that we're going to be trying posting to the MUME wiki, ideally like on the MUME page. Like there should be a guide section on the MUME page. I feel like that's, like a kind of get started. Here are some guides for the kind of characters you want to play. I think that's 100% true. Like just having a recent guide is massive. And then it's also got to be accessible. Like again, like there are guides, but you have to go like deep in like these websites that barely exist anymore,
Right.
But also,
the other thing I would like to see is an easy client setting setup, probably for Mudlet, that people could get to relatively easily. I know Amatin was working on it at one point, but I think he kind of got busy and couldn't finish it. So something like that. Back in the day, there were all these pages you could go to with JMC scripts and everything, but there's nothing up to date.
Totally. And that's something that plays into the grouping aspect as well, because if you're a newbie and you're lucky enough to get in a group, people are like, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, and they're kind of shrieking at you, and if you get something wrong, everybody's had the experience where like you sleep mobs and the newbie doesn't know what to do and they hit the mob you slept and it wakes up and people start yelling at you and you feel bad and you're like, I don't even, and then you're like, it'd be like you're the literal like interface difficulty of just playing the game becomes like a serious obstacle or an uphill battle to connecting and playing, which that's like not, I feel like other games do a better job of that. But a simpler interface, or a bundle like that, a package like that, so you open up Mudlet, then you type in MUME somehow and it automatically kind of provisions some basics for you, or even just a targeting system, I think would go a long way.
So did you know you can actually build a targeting system in game? Oh,
using the little alias expansion thing? Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, exactly. So I actually built one, and I mean, it works pretty well. Like it works exactly the same as a client one.
Like a client one. Yeah.
And I was thinking of seeing if we can talk to someone about like, let's just put this in like a basic, like spruce it up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer, because right now you get like the feedback text of like, % target, blah 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 blah. Make it look a little.
That goes to one of my things I've been saying for years, is I wish there was a way to toggle off the echoing of in-game aliases, because it's so annoying if you have to read that spam. Like, oh my god.
But that would make like Jahara's mapper client pretty reusable. If you had targeting, ideally, you don't really need actions in my opinion. But if you had like a multi command, like the semicolon where you can string commands together, like if you had that plus basic targeting system, or at least like some sort of variable where you can store doors for like blocking or whatever you want to do,
You can do a lot with that.
Yeah, like that would make it totally playable. Right now, it's really, really bare bones, so it's tough to play it on it.
I agree. And also, if there was a way, if there was a natural game mechanic to where like the person you following said something like, like our target is like an actual in game, like an emote or something where they said, focus our attack on X. And then if you were following that person, that could maybe either automatically or implicitly or explicitly become your target as well. And then when you cast spell, like so, there could be a group type mechanism by which the leader could communicate targets. That would make interacting with noobs easier. And
I played a mud game like that. Actually, they had a group target just like that, and it actually worked quite well, especially for me who is a newbie on the mud. Yeah.
Some ideas. We need
good to me.
Interesting.
That's the big problem at the end of the day. It's just like that's a great idea. Let's do it, and no one can like. They've got like 2 or 3 people who actually know how to do that.
Yep.
But anyway, so we're probably gonna have to start wrapping up around here. We got a couple minutes left, but before we do, my absolutely favorite part of the podcast, we're gonna have to get into hot takes real quick. So, who would like to go first? Thank you, Mike.
Pilois, you go first. No, Pilois, you go first. I guess.
I did think about this. I'm going to go for a MUME Renaissance is coming. I think with the player involvement and the changes we're going to roll out and the Lord of the Rings series, I think we're going to get a lot more interest.
Love it, dude.
Love it. Yeah.
Informed optimism. I love it, man. That's fantastic. Oh yeah.
Optimism. All right, Mike.
I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited about what Pilois just said. On my brain just blanked. I don't know. I kind of already said mine. I think the Dunedain subrace should give you all kinds of leadership buffs. Maybe it's leadership skill, or maybe it's like you have people following you get some bonus, like move regen, or they don't zablam as much, something like that. But I think it would be cool, especially because that's Aragorn's race in the book. I think it would be cool to make that race all about grouping and leadership as opposed to just shit that's combat buffs or whatever, but make it a group leadership race. That's
Aragorn led like 8 people in Lord of the Rings, and he wasn't making sound. So
and look at how that went. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
All right, Nick, what you got?
I think that I think that we will see with MUME. I'm hoping that more people enjoy playing it. I really hope that it's still being developed and played years from now. Like I think that the TV series will probably help, but even after that's done, and I'm really excited to see some of the changes that that have been hinted about here today with the new changes to the subraces. So
awesome. A lot of positivity. I like that. Hot take. Let me think here. Hot take. Well, all right. So recently Mike and I started playing BNs, and I've had so much fun with that. And a large part of that is due to the fact that BNs are really hard, but also is that they are extremely unique. Like when you start playing a BN, you're playing a BN. There's nothing like it, and I would love for that to be the case for pukes as well. Right now, if you're playing an elf or a hobbit or a dwarf, it's like, well, I'm playing this, and like the subrace changes. I'm not saying that we should necessarily have a whole bunch of buffs with the subrace style changes, but there's a lot of drawbacks from BNs, and I actually kind of wish that there was a little bit more drawbacks on the puke side of things, where I think it would be like, yeah, I'm an elf. You know what that means? I can't do this. It's like a weird quirk. Quirk. I think that's the right word right there. Quirks. There's quirks of things like Zogs and BNs where it's like, yeah, you got to know this because I'm playing a BN, and if you don't know this, you're not playing a BN. You know what I'm saying? And I wish that there was that kind of feeling on a lot of the puke races where you're like, yeah, I'm playing a freaking Sindarin elf, you know? Like,
I think it's coming though, man. I think the Subrace stuff is making it that way. If you go make a row here and get to level 10, and so I made a row here that's got 18 dex and 10 will. He's got 138% ride. He's an animal. He's a total monster.
So that's the thing. I'm not saying actually buff them though. I'm saying we should nerf them a little bit. Like I think we.
Nerf. Okay.
Exactly. I'm not saying like let's add more stuff. Let's make it even strong. I'm saying like let's throw weird things in there. Like if you're a dwarf, you will never know Elvish or something stupid like that. I don't know. Just like quirks to your character. I don't know. Anyway, that's my hot take.
Pilois, thank you, man. Thank you not only for being on the pod, but for all the fantastic work you're doing. Dark Oath is a masterpiece. DG is a masterpiece. You guys are crushing it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah. Again, sorry about the stream problems. We'll fix it up in post and post it up there. But thanks again for coming on, Nick and Mike. As always, appreciate you hosting. And yeah, I think we're ready to wrap up. Anyone got an outro here?
No.
No.
This has been. I'm trying to think. I want to do it. Yeah, it's like this has been Pilois Talk, bringing you the latest details from inside MUME. All right, see ya.